Welcome to another good episode of Two Smooth Operators, the only podcast about gate operator life for technicians. Your hosts, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers. Stay tuned for another
So
great
cool.
episode.
I gotta wear two shades.
Yeah,
I might even have to wear three shades, man.
Two to three shades, man. Two
So my
smooth
my
operator.
future, yeah, my future's so bright. I gotta wear shades, but sometimes I can't see it, so I gotta magnify it,
Oh
man.
Lord.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Getting ready for a big work week this week. I just bought some conduit, uh, 8,000 feet of 3/4 conduit for a job.
So 8,000 feet, divide that by four. That's
That no,
two.
1,000 feet.
Oh, 1,000.
Yeah,
So divided by four or two, that's 250 or 500. You got four runs, three runs, two runs. What you
two
got?
runs.
Two
Two
runs, so
runs.
500 feet.
One of them's about 600, another's about 250 or more.
So what are you putting? Where's that going in ground? Obviously.
It's going in the ground from the house to the first keypad, and then it's going to shoot across the driveway to the second keypad. And I'm using the Door King, I believe the 1812 or something
Oh,
keypad.
two single family or the. I think those are. Oh, keypad or speakerphone.
Both
Both.
keypad, speakerphone.
I think that's 1812. They got that newer
Yeah.
one that's a 2121 that's got the internet and all that stuff.
Well, this is the one I've been telling you about. I got to dig a trench for the past couple months, and I'm just now getting to it. So
Oh yeah.
you,
Uh,
you
so
know.
so you got well that ain't no different than anything else I know.
Well,
All right,
I got it. The wire ran out on the ground, you know, and I told the guy, well, I had it lined up a couple times to go do it, but every time I went to go do it, it snowed, it rained, and then the trencher that I rent was the motor went out in it, so I had to wait till my buddy gets that fixed and blah blah blah. And then next thing you know, 2 or 3 months goes by, you still ain't got it done. So, but I told I was talking to my dad. I said we need to get it done this week so we can go ahead and get this behind us so we can move on to the future.
so you got two 1812s and
Yeah.
one's for entry, one's for exit.
No, both for entry and exit. And my customer did not want to go to a newer type of keypad with the SIM card or anything like that. So I chose to go with the Door King 1812 because it's a landline ran to it. So I got it working. It's just I don't have the wire in the ground, but I'm running conduit because it's been hit by lightning twice, and this is the third time that wire's been replaced. So I didn't replace it the last two times. Somebody else did. But when I'm replacing it, I'm putting conduit down. That way, if it happens again, all I have to do is just pull a wire through there, and there's no trenching, there's no redoing, digging stuff. So,
So I'm a big fan of using direct burial wire. If it's outside, I always use direct burial. Well,
yeah.
99.9% of the time I use direct burial. There may be some circumstances
Well,
where I ain't
yeah,
got no choice. So what are you? What wire are you using?
it's a direct burial wire that I'm putting in the conduit.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
it's a telephone wire, kind of like Cat 5, and but I'm putting in conduit because lightning keeps hitting it and causing it to short out. So that's why I'm
Well,
running conduit.
I guess conduit. I guess conduit could isolate it a little bit. I don't know that it. I
Well,
guess that's also
yeah,
assuming that that's hitting the ground first and it's not actually hitting the highest point. That's probably what I would be thinking
yeah.
about. So whatever the highest point is, which is probably the gate hinge post or the telephone entry itself.
Yeah, well, they got hit by lightning pretty bad, and it blew a lot of stuff out in their
Oh,
house.
did it? Oh, gotcha.
And my logic behind this is put the conduit in, and that way, if it hits it, it doesn't happen. It's the third time it's happened, and the wire shorted out. I got conduit. You just if it shorts out the wire again, it's an easier fix just to pull new wire than digging it out 800 feet or 1,000 feet. So
Yeah, I'd be curious if anybody has any opinion on that. Like, for instance, does it have any bodies of water that's close by? Does it got any?
no, it's got pine trees all around it though. So
It does. So the pine trees themselves, as soon as they get wet, they obviously are
yeah,
conductive. Not as conductive, I would imagine, as a steel post sticking up. But if that pine tree is 35 foot in the air, covered in water while it's raining, I mean that's got to be almost uh, uh, a path for ground as anything else. So let me ask you a question. On those 1812s, are you going to actually put in grounding rods, or do they already have them?
they already had it on there from the old keypad.
Okay.
And there was a spot for the wire to be grounded to onto the 1812 itself, and I got that hooked up too. Um, but this was after I went out there and put the keypad on.
Uh-huh.
But still, it's no guarantee that that grounding rod is going to protect that operator from or that keypad from lightning strike. Because if it's close by and it routes that way, it's going to get fried.
Yeah, I mean there's varying opinions of what that ground rod does. There are some people out there that think it actually attracts electricity, and to a certain extent, I mean that's what it's designed to do, is to give an
Yeah,
alternative path
yeah,
back to um, where it came from.
yeah,
So the grounding rod, in my opinion, provided that everything is isolated correctly, is way to go. Go 10 foot,
yeah,
depending upon soil conditions. Sometimes you can't go vertically. Sometimes you have to go horizontally. Like for instance, here in Nevada, they have a whole different type of design, whether you're using the rebar of the building, whether you're using the pipes in the building, or you're actually going horizontal and using a particular mixture of rock and other things that now you only go like 18 inches down, and you
yeah,
lay your ground rod horizontal and then surround it with all this conductive material.
yeah. Oh,
So
I,
yeah, I think the ground rod's crucial.
and I've had put the ground rod in and get hit by lightning, and I have unhooked them and never been back to them again. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just experience. Sometimes I got to put the ground rod in to keep from getting surges, power surges and stuff. I had one of my new LA 400s get a direct hit 2 weeks ago.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
not a direct hit. It hit the pine tree in the lady's yard, went through the circuit breaker at the brick column, blew out one of their lights on the brick column,
Mm.
shot all the way through the electrical line to the other driveway, and burnt the receptacle. But didn't the LA 400 was still working, baby. Only thing it got though was the transformer for the mag lock. It did blow that out, but
Oh,
nothing else.
gotcha. So the LA 400 still worked after that?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Huh.
I was like, man, this thing's blowed. I just put it in a month ago now that you got to get a new board. You know how you think when you go in there. And I looked, everything was working. It was running off the battery because they cut the power off, and I checked their power and told them to turn the breaker back on. It came back on, and then I checked the mag lock, it wasn't working, and had to put a new transformer on it. So
But that was it, just the transformer?
that was it.
Huh.
And I told them they
It,
got lucky.
Anybody that's watching, we just put on YouTube and Facebook the link to where you can actually join in. if you have a conversation about what we're talking about, which we're going to talk about gate operator stuff and certification and that, and then we're going to be talking about branding for your small business and
Yeah.
class that's coming up. So, anyways, you can jump on and there you go. Let me see what you got. Well, let me see it. Put that out there a little bit. Oh, Mr. Fence Academy Retreat, 5 years. There you go.
That's a good branding symbol right there.
Yeah, low cost or no cost, but yeah, that's going to be walking around with you all the time. So, anyways, yeah, that's interesting. So, my opinion is be careful for you guys that are just randomly putting in ground rods. Sometimes ground rods, and depending upon how you're shielding the wire, can actually cause noise in the system. Now, for our relays and stuff like that, it's not that big of a deal because you're not going to probably inject enough noise to actually close the relay. However, as we have solid state relays, and when we have data going across those lines, there is enough interference that can be done just by having two different ground potentials. So be careful with that. So you two 1812s, give it to me one more time. They're both for entry or exit.
Both. This is
Entry
at a
and exit.
residential farm house. This is like out in the middle of nowhere. And one set of gates is for your cars come in and out. It's like a 14-foot double wrought iron gate. And then the other side is a 30-foot double gate, swing gate, for tractors and big trucks to come through.
Gotcha. I get it. All right. Well, that makes sense. I guess my thought would be put it at a double height and get that one drive wider than the other. Are they right? Are the two drives right next to each other?
They're about 200 feet apart.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that one drive is literally the one opening is specifically for the big trucks coming in, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't forget to put in your questions or comments about what we're talking about in the chat. Just joined in. We're talking about LA 400s and a whole bunch of lightning strikes in North Carolina, which is we don't get that much stuff here in Nevada, but in Texas we do all the time.
Get it here a lot, quite a bit.
People don't realize that there's like, I forgot what the number is, but like 31,000 electric strikes that happen in the United States every single day. So electric strikes are affecting you, even though it might not be right on your property. So you got to be careful. But I'd be curious to talk to anybody on how well, if it hits the ground, whether conduit, I mean, it's got to be isolating it to a certain extent. So if there's any studies out there that say that when it's burning up the wire, is it from actually hitting the devices that it's connected to or going through the ground? I'd be interested in hearing that.
Well,
So,
I could tell you a little story that had happened to me one time.
Go for it.
This was probably about 8 years ago or more. I had a customer that was an electrical engineer. So he had me to put on Viking G5 gate operators. And on the arm there, it has that extra ground wire there that you hook it to the screw and tighten it down for the grounding.
Okay.
I didn't hook that up. So a couple of weeks go by, he gets hit by lightning. And he goes and he's out there looking at it, want to know why I got it. The grounding didn't get it. And I had the everything else grounded, but I didn't ground that little wire, the little silver wire that you're supposed to ground to the operator. I didn't hook it up. And he says, I ain't gonna pay you for the new board because you didn't hook that wire up. So I'm like, shit. So
it went from like the door to something.
On the actuator arm, you got a little wire on that Viking G5 that's a grounding wire, and you tighten it down, and you're supposed to hook it onto the inside the panel, to the side of the panel.
Yeah.
The control panel. And I didn't. I just just had it there, and I didn't. I cut it off and didn't hook it up. I was, I ain't gonna need it. And Dag, an electrical engineer, was right there looking at it while I was working on it. I said, what's that wire? I said, that's a ground wire. That's why the lightning hit it.
Jesus Christ, man.
It used
Yeah,
that against me. So,
that's the school of hard knocks, isn't it?
yeah. And I'm
So
like,
is our lightning strikes common enough to where you're dealing with this on a regular basis in North Carolina?
oh yeah, every day. Oh, lightning's gonna hit. It's already started.
Wow.
So yeah, it hits, and it's not just gate operators like your AC, your air conditioners, indoor outdoor units, your stoves, your refrigerators, your microwave. It can come in through your electrical. Um, I mean, I've seen it all.
Huh. Well, if you guys are interested in grounding, there's obviously plenty of books out there that tell you how to ground and what to ground. Manufacturer's Manual is a good one to go by. But like I said before, just be careful. Just don't start throwing ground rods in there and start hooking it up to stuff. So yeah. Anyways, Robert and my phone number is up there. If you guys ever got any questions for you guys or anything, don't get jammed up. Give one of us a call. If we can answer it, we will. If we got to text you back, we will. Not replacing the manufacturers or trying to get a million phone calls, but don't get jammed up. And we also would do on-site training for you guys as well too. So. It's actually, if you can bill for our time, you actually get it for free. So just keep that in mind. There's our phone numbers right there. We hit a milestone over at our YouTube channel, which is where we have quite a bit of our content. We got 40,000 views, so the big 4,000. Now, if you're Mr. Beast or something like that, you might get 40,000 in the first 10 minutes. But for a gate operator channel, that's pretty damn good. So if you haven't joined the YouTube channel, that's pretty much where we're putting all of our videos.
Yeah.
That and the Facebook one, but Facebook doesn't always have all of them. So subscribe to the YouTube channels and comment on that mug as well too. So I've seen as of lately, I've seen a lot of people saying that they're doing hands-on training and all this good stuff that's going on out there. And I put out this little post that says class versus field. You know, all the stuff that I do, well, not all of it, 99% of it is out in the field. Getting tools in people's hands and teaching them how to do it, which is the way to learn. Is to actually do it other than simulate doing it. So and our last training in California was actually pretty good. We did a demo gate out at JC Gurr, and it's actually pretty good. So if anybody's got anything to add, I mean, is this out of line? Because I'm not trying to discredit the classroom training. I mean, we need to, if you're going through programming on a gate operator, you don't necessarily need to be out in the field to learn that part of it. So if you're going to a gate operator class and they're running you through that, I'm not trying to say that that's not that important, but I was just trying to make a point like, hey, dude, how did you get your gate operator certification? Was it actually being tested on how to put the gate together, or was it about something that you memorized? And I'm not a big fan of memorizing stuff. What's your opinion?
Well, I'm a big fan of memorizing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you should have stuff memorized. Because I'm a musician. How you gonna go up on stage and not be able to play a guitar and sing at the same time?
Well, that's what sheet music's for.
Well, you can't do that when you're performing live.
Oh, you can't?
No,
I see piano players doing it all
that's
the
a piano player, man. I'm talking about somebody gets on stage and does the thing.
Oh
But
yeah.
but people are different. So I'm different. You're different than me. So I ain't gonna knock you for having all your stuff in order and having paper. And I'm not gonna knock the guy that says, you need to have it memorized. Because I'm in that cat. Reason why I got to memorize stuff because I'm dyslexic.
I got you.
I can read something and I can go to write it down and I won't even write what I'm reading because it'll come out different. So I have a different way of learning. So I am hands-on. I am the classroom guy. I'm both. I have to have both. I have to have somebody to explain it to me, then I had to have somebody to show me. And
That
I believe you need both. It takes both of it, but you can't do one without the other. I think they're pushing the one in the classroom more than doing the one out in the field, and they should be have the same amount of opportunity with both.
Well, you bring up a valid point. Yeah, I think that that is a good way, and maybe it's something that I need to take a look at when I'm training. Is it's worth it to see what it looks like at the beginning when there's nothing there, in the middle when something's there, and then at the end when the job's completed. All right, now let's go do it. So that's actually a pretty good point. On the memorization point, basically what I'm simply saying is that it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Or I don't think you should try to pick up a manual,
Oh yeah,
read it, memorize it, go to the next page, read it, memorize it, right?
well,
Because you're
yeah,
always going to have this in your hand.
yeah, yeah.
So
It,
that's actually the point that
yeah,
I was trying to make.
and pretty much what I'm saying, not literally memorize, but just studying the book, read the book over and over. Take it home. Think about what normally open means. Think about what normally close means. Think about what common means. Think about what you're doing the next day, like that 1812 controller. It's not, you just don't just wire it up. You better know where the wires go. So you got to study. You have to uh, take mental notes of where it's going. And then I still had the book in front of me, even though I read it last night. I still had the book in front of me to see where I need to put my orange and green wire and my white wire and for the telephone, um, just to make sure I'm being correct from the factory's book. So
Yeah. Well, I could simply say on that point that a lot of manufacturers should stop relying on color coding stuff because some of us out there have color deficiencies. So it's very hard for us to tell browns, greens,
yeah,
and reds and stuff like that. And when it comes to the motor, especially like, am I wrong on the LiftMaster motor connections? Are they doing it just by color? Or do they actually tell you that this is plus 24, minus 24, open limit, close limit? Because I think they just do it by color, right?
I don't know about the motor because I don't know about what. But, oh no! Oh no! You talk about when you hook up the actuator arm, like the
Yeah,
LA400. The
it's all by
wiring for that.
it's all by color, right?
Yeah, they got it color coded, but in the book they got it for what it's for. But it's pretty obvious. The big red wire is the positive wire. The big blue wire or black wire is the negative wire. Then the other wire for a smaller diameter gauge, and that's your limits.
Shit, that's like saying a tech coming back in and going, "Oh man, it was obvious. You're supposed to mount the gate operator plumb and square, and then put the chain bolts on, and then put the chain on, then put your photo." That's pretty obvious. But man, ain't nothing obvious about this when you got a customer looking over your shoulder and all that jazz.
Well,
So, but I get what you're saying. That in itself, a lot of guys don't understand wires that are thicker or have more surface area are generally intended for more current, and your motor is what's going to be drawing more current to have the less resistance to be able to dissipate heat more.
yeah, and if your
Maybe
gate's going the wrong way, you just reverse those wires and you'll make it go the other way. I'm just joking. Don't do that.
no, you might have something else going on as well too, or the board might have something going
Yeah.
on. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I could not figure that robo swings that I had going on, where I could only get the one to operate in a clockwise fashion or counterclockwise, regardless of whether I hit open or close. Changed the board. The only thing isolated the board, took the harness off from the primary secondary, all that stuff. The only thing I didn't replace, which in most gate operators is probably the first thing if you ever have a positioning or possibly something like this, is the limit switches. So I checked the resistance on normally open and normally close through common, and on my digital multimeter, and although it only takes a few milliohms for it to give you a problem, it ohmed out at 0 ohms. So I was confident that I didn't see any issue there, but I don't know. I replaced the board twice. I did a couple of different things, but yeah, I don't know what the freaking problem was. So I hate to sell so many new gate operators over that, but if the manufacturer's not going to even tell me what kind of fuse it is, then what's the next problem going to be like where they got to spend 4 or 5 hours? Did you have any more thoughts after I called you about that?
Well, you called me about that, and at first I couldn't think about what get Robo Elite. What?
Yeah.
I could. It just didn't come to me. Then, it came to me about 13 years ago. However many years ago it was that I had an issue with one, and me
Yeah.
and my dad both were out there working on this one on these set of operators that nobody could fix in our area. And we went out there 2 or 3 times, man. We did everything. Placed the board, got a new board. Oh, we get a new board for blah blah. We'll get it worked. I didn't fix it. But what the issue was what I don't like about poor design. Nothing wrong with the operator, nothing wrong with the board, because it's the Elite 3000 board. Poor design on powering the operator. Poor design. It is terrible design. And I don't know if it was designed before Chamberlain had it like that, or Chamberlain put that design in. I don't know. But it was a poor design, because if that battery dropped in a little bit of voltage, what we figured out was that gate would not work properly.
Maybe that was it, because I was running 12.6 on a load, which on the battery, and then it was coming right back up to 12.7 and 12.8 without a load, and I felt comfortable at that. But if it's so finicky that, running at 75% capacity or 80% capacity under load, that it's going to give me a problem, then we got bigger issues.
Yeah.
Because that's not cool. But anyways, yeah, I remember a lot of the mega arm towers, mega arms. They would have problems without a battery or a bad battery, and that was always
Yeah.
the go-to. We wouldn't even ask. We just replace the batteries, and 50% of the time we could just go on to the next one.
Well, they won't run without the battery supposedly
Mega
they won't run without the battery.
Well, yeah, you only have like whatever at 12 volts. You only have like two. You have maybe what was it, a 40 VA? So maybe you have an amp at 12 volts coming off that power supply, and I would imagine it's a 4 or 5 amp. Or no, probably not that much. I would imagine it's a couple amp current draw. So yeah, it shouldn't.
Now,
You shouldn't do that.
on
Shouldn't
that
work.
Robo, were you positive 100% sure it was a 12-volt system, not a 24-volt?
Have one battery.
And it had no other batteries, because the ones I worked on had 2 batteries.
Maybe they updated them, but yeah, there was just one 12 volt, 7 amp hour battery. And, excuse me, oh, that didn't look like there was any other spot for one. It would have probably kind of been weird if it was 24 volts, because you would have had to do a long jumper down to it. But yeah, they were jacked up when I got there. I spent an hour and a half to 2 hours just getting it to where both of them would even turn on.
Well, let's talk about that. You're there, and you like all your experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're stuck for 2 hours on something.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is Elite Robo Swing that I had an issue with. The customer calls, and although I didn't know this until I was pretty much done with 2.5 hours of diagnostics, apparently several people have been out there before. So when I got there, the primary, let's say the one that had the receiver, the primary side, which was the left exit side, was not powered, and there was 3 transformers 20 volt or 18 volt transformers that were on the ground, on the ground and underneath the motor. And there was only one 120 volt outlet. Okay. So those 3 transformers were not plugged into low voltage and not plugged into high voltage. Or excuse me, 2 of the transformers were not plugged into low voltage or plugged into high voltage. So they were bad transformers. And as I started looking around, I started seeing limit switches bust, or limit nuts, or limit cams, I think they call it. They were like underneath the operator. They were busted. So that's like common service, because those things would bust on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So the primary side had no power fuse. The secondary side had no power. So I ohmed out the wires that was actually hooked into the power input, and they were showing overload. So they were showing that there was no continuity when I twisted them together on the other side. It was a 4 conductor that was not through conduit. It was actually pulled up through the concrete pad, and it was not direct variable. Okay, so I'm not sure if it's conduit, if it had conduit underneath the drive, but it was interior and it was not in conduit from what I could see, and just pulled up through the actual concrete. So I did a DC resistance test on the other set of wires, and it was 0 ohms once I twisted it together. So I was like, all right, got good conductors there. So then I went over to the primary side. That was the wires going to the secondary side. I cut those wires off, made new spade connections on that one, and then like I said, there was 3 transformers. One was hooked up, and the other 2 weren't. So I grabbed one of the transformers, unplugged the power, plugged the transformer back in, had a good 120, had good outgoing power without a load. So it was just 18, 19 volts without a load. But then I had no place to plug it in because, again, there was only one outlet.
Did you get my gate fixed yet?
Exactly. Right about that. So I was supposed to, the way that I was doing it with this company, I was supposed to check in after 30 minutes and let them know.
We got to call somebody else. This guy out here, he doesn't know what he's doing. He claims to be an expert and has a podcast and gate operator.
Well,
can we find somebody else here to do this? We done went through 5 guys.
That's it. That's the good news is they went through 5 guys without any information whatsoever. So I haven't looked at it, but I at least have 15, 20 videos. I put several up on the Facebook groups, and I took a bunch of pictures. So I was documenting what I was doing because I knew this conversation was going to happen. So anyways, there was a extension cord that was cut, that was right there, that wasn't plugged into the
No. That wasn't the problem.
No. Well, no. It just goes to show if you're trying to plug.
My
if you're trying
electrician
to
put that there. Now, don't talk about my electrician.
Well, your electrician's high on crack. So I took that one, wired it up to 120, tested. I didn't test to see whether there was a good 120 or not. I just plugged my transformer in and then tested my secondary side. So there was 18 volts. I plugged into the secondary side with the new wiring, and boom, gate operator press open, goes all the way to the limit switch, opens, press close, all the way to the limit switch, press close. Put a load on it, secondary side is now not the problem. However, there was no fuses. There wasn't a power board fuse for the primary side. So I had to get one of those, come back the next day, put that in. And then for whatever reason, basically made sure all the wires were connected and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, I could not get the existing board, existing transformer to do anything but close. It was almost like it was on, like the open limit switch was busted, and then when you hit close, it would or hit open. It'd already think that it's open, so it would close. Yeah. So anyways, getting past that, I went out there with the test board, put the test board in, same exact thing. Took the secondary board, same exact thing. Took the receiver off, took the power off, took the primary secondary off.
Oh my
Completely
God, you're
isolated.
deep in shit right now.
Yeah, completely isolated it. Same exact thing. So all it had was the board, the limit switch harness, and the power harness that goes to the motor. Same exact thing. So I said, all right, well, let's see if we've got a bad motor. Put the power, took the power off the battery, put a little couple wires coming out of the harness, put positive to positive, negative to negative. Motor goes like that, negative to positive,
Oh,
positive
man,
to negative. Board goes the opposite, or the motor goes the opposite way. So the motor's doing its job, right? And off 3 boards, you should think if it's a bad capacitor or bad something on the control board, it wouldn't be bad on all 3 of them. So that's the long story of what happened. So you're into it for $650, telling them that each time that, hey, this is it. So
650, man. Come on.
so
You didn't fix nothing though.
didn't fix nothing. So the only thing that I would do different is replace the limit switches almost right away, and then the next thing is harness. But if the manufacturer's not going to fucking support it, and they wouldn't even tell me what fuse. This is what LiftMaster's answer was. Here's the manual. I'm like, well, all I'm asking you to do is look in the manual to tell me what fuse it is. And then he's like, well, if you're not at the property, I can't tell you what's going on. I'm like, all I'm trying to do is you telling me you don't know what fuse goes in it. So literally they wouldn't support it. So it's really tough. Now that we're past it, we're 650 into it. My number is about halfway through, but we're into it in some old gate operators, right? Apparently they haven't been making for 7 years. So now we're into it. My number is always about half. If it's going to be half of what it replaced to what it costs to replace it new, then you need to start looking at replacing it new. But when you've got a gate operator that's 25 years old and not doing so great, it's time to go. So anyways, I just was like, the only thing I would have done different is a harness, and that LiftMaster specifically told me when I called them, you need to replace them. Before anything they did, any diagnostic, he goes, you need to replace them. And you need to replace it with the drop-in replacement LA500.
No,
I'm like,
no.
how do you do a drop-in replacement from a pad mount gate operator to a column mount gate operator? So anyways, everybody on the group,
they're on the phone and probably in their house or something. Who knows? But
yeah.
So you were trying to breathe life back into this operator, and you're just trying your best not to let it die. And kudos to you, man.
Well, I got a feeling I'm pretty damn close on it. And like I said, I'll take the harness off the other one and replace the limit switches and then see what we get. But other than that, the way the harness goes, you can't visually inspect it the whole way, and that's what you have to do. Considering that the motor would go clockwise and counterclockwise, I don't know what else I was supposed to do. So, limit switches was the only thing I should have had on me and didn't. So,
sometimes I'll get in them moods, man. I'm thinking about, man, I gotta get this thing back to life. Man, guys, come on, what's wrong with it now? It ain't working. I'll do something else. Oh, it ain't working. Oh man, and then I say, man, well, maybe I just need to sell a new one.
Well, my customer authorized 1 hour of diagnostics, which included a trip charge, and 2 hours labor after that. That's what they authorized. And until I got to that point, I wasn't supposed to stop. And that shows you how frustrated they were with the existing company. And that's what's so funny. I tell people all you have to do is be good to be great in this business, and that's it. All you have to do is be good.
That's true. That's true.
Well, luckily, the guy who's renting the place, he owns a plumbing company. And when I left, he goes, you know more than looking at it for an hour than all the 5 people that come out here together. And I would just I'm no smarter than those guys. I knew what steps I had to go through, even though the manufacturer. And then he sat there and talked to me about 15 minutes. He was trying to hire me for his plumbing company.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell him you'll run the whole damn thing for $1 million.
Shit, I'll run anything for $1 million at this stage. But we get so much money in this
Well,
podcast.
see, you
It's
got
hard.
you got experience, and he saw what you did, and was listening and observing. He's like, this dude can do anything. This is the kind of type of dude I'm looking for in my business. You know,
Yeah, and that's
hire
what he said.
somebody better than me.
That's what he asked. He asked me. He was asking me how I went through the diagnostic process and what I understood. And
That's
I
important right there. What you just said, the process, diagnostic process, the steps that you took, and that's what caught him. That's what made him was like, you know, man, this dude knows his stuff.
and all it was just isolating things. That's it. It shouldn't be that much harder for technicians. Just to isolate it.
But
Um, and I was right damn there, but
but if you want to be a plumber, you can go shovel shit all day long. Shit rolls downhill. That's all you got to know now.
I don't know if we got it worse or plumbers got it worse because they have to deal with water pressure, but they still
Oh
have
yeah,
electronics,
oh yeah,
electrical. They
hmm
got gas as well too, right?
yeah, hmm
So they probably have more, maybe not welding, but they have more stuff that they got to deal
and
with
they
than we
got to have way more tools than what we had.
You should have seen his van. He was
Yeah.
rolling in a Sprinter, and I was just like, "That must be nice." Until you try to get up in a garage,
Mhm.
it's going to be a little hard to do. So, anyways, Bam, we have briefly talked about we were going to do this podcast, or at least a little bit, on branding. And the Finch University is going to have a marketing class, which you're more than welcome to come to if you're going to be in Las Vegas. And it is going to be, I thought I had it already up here. So it is going to be the 21st through the 22nd. It's 2 days. You're going to leave with the marketing schedule. You're going to leave with marketing material for the gate business, and I'm going to see if I can work on getting some for the fence business as well too.
Yeah.
But any of that stuff can apply, and it's going to already be pre-printed for you to just walk over to the copier, hit duplicate, and that's it. So we're going to be talking about a little bit about branding, but more so about the practices that you can use in your own business, provided that it's legal in your market, going door to door, that type of stuff, and low cost for small business. So one of those things that you talk about in that class is branding. So I've got the exact definition of it here. I'll show it here in a minute, but what's your idea of branding?
Well, that's
Put
good because I just went to a class on branding, Defense
Where-
Academy Retreat in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and they talked about it.
what
Branding is your company, the value of your company, the who you are, what you stand for. Repetitive. Uh, people, 10 people say, yeah, Evers is a good fence and gate guy. People talk about you. Brandon, getting out and about, be big.
Uh-oh. Did I
I'm back.
lose him?
Somebody just tried
All
to
right,
call me.
sorry.
But
So branding is what they say about you, or maybe even one thing they say about you and your company.
yeah,
Okay. I'm cool with that. That sounds about right. I got some definitions of branding
read
here.
them out to me, bro.
So, branding, I got one definition from HubSpot. HubSpot is they're a software company, so they put out a lot of articles about branding. And this is interesting. This is the way that I put it. along with marketing as a business. But it says branding, contrary to popular belief, companies don't sell products, they sell branding. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in this document on YouTube, on the chat on YouTube and the chat on Facebook, it has a link to this document, so it's free. You can go in and copy it for free. So that's what their definition is. Contrary to popular belief, companies don't sell product; they sell branding, which is true and not true. A product, for you guys out there wondering what the difference is, a product is something that's new to the market that they need to be introduced to. So we haven't had any really new products in a long time. A lot of people would think, oh, well, Lyft is a new product or Uber is a new product. It's the exact same thing we've had before, which is ride sharing or cabs. The only difference in that is how you're paying for it. So it is not a new product. A new product, which none of us are selling, is something that's new to the market that the customer has to be explained what it actually is. So, yes, this is true in the sense that companies don't sell products because once it's introduced to the market, it's no longer a product, and they sell branding, and that is fair. And I'll read you the wiki definition, and then I'll give you my opinion about that. A brand is a name, term, symbol, or any other feature that distinguishes one seller's goods or service from those of other sellers. So, off the top of your head, what's the first brand that you think of, Robert? Off the top of your head. And it's actually on your head, probably. Mr.
Fence Academy,
Right?
John King, Mr. Fence. That I'm gonna tell you, that's the number one in the fence industry. That's number one, but if you're gonna know who Mr. Fence is, if you don't know anything at all, you know who Mr. Fence is. When you go on YouTube, you'll see his trucks. You see the no dig, but he goes hard at it, and he's been through a lot of trainings and stuff like that too. And he has the Fence Academy, and where you can be a part of that stuff too, and learn about how he done it, how he does it, how he learned it. And he'll tell you he didn't come up with everything; he learned it.
I'm still of the opinion there's no new ideas. So if you think that you're going to create something revolutionary in your business, I mean, they had rollerblades 100 years before rollerblades became popular. Electric cars. Well, Ferdinand Porsche, his first car was an electric car, and guess what? It had a motor in each wheel. What's Tesla? Tesla has two motors up front, motor in the back. It's already been figured out, guys. You're not going to create a new idea, but what you can do is go to a different industry and steal their ideas. And that's one of the things about this Mr. Fence Academy is you get a group of people that are actually seeing different ideas from different places, and that's how you're going to get the new ideas in your fence or gate business. So, yeah, Mr. Fence, when you think of fence, what about fence tools? Like, I can't think of any, if I was thinking of tools for the fence industry, I couldn't think of any other place other than Mr. Fence Tools. So it's got multiple brands, but those are brands that he's been working on, and the branding. As an example, if you were to think of purple in the fence industry, you might think of Purple Coaching, right?
Yeah.
If you would think of blue in the fence industry, you might think of Mr. Fence and Team Blue and so on. So all of those go towards what your brand is. Sometimes it's a logo, sometimes it's a slogan. Sometimes it's a symbol and a logo. Sometimes it's a slogan where your slogan actually is your logo. I was trying to think of one off the top of my head. I don't know why I can't think of a slogan that somebody would think of, but we could think of plenty of symbols. Like if I showed you an apple with a bite out of it, that would probably be computers, right? And if I showed you a big check sign, That will probably be like a Nike swoosh or something to that
Yeah.
effect, right? So we
Mhm.
know all of those. And in my opinion, which is what I wanted to talk about today, which is branding or brand building should be low cost or no cost. Now, we're talking about it in the vein of small businesses, right? And it could even be for multi-million dollar businesses. They should be low cost and no cost as well too. Well, how do all these companies go out there and have brand building products that they actually sell? So let's talk about low cost and no cost real quick. Use your existing assets. So Robert, how often, when you go to a job site, do you take pictures so you can have that for a reference later on? Whether it be for, oh, I've had problems with this customer, or oh, I got to show this to somebody online. How often are you taking pictures for that type of stuff on your jobs?
Well, I do quite a bit. I post a lot on social media, Facebook and YouTube.
But just for that, like how often are you taking a picture for reference later on or to protect yourself later on for like signs and so on? How often are you doing that on your jobs? Not for
And,
marketing.
yeah, I take pictures of every job we do.
So that's what we're talking about, low cost or no cost. Is Robert's doing it for other purposes, so you could take that content that you're built that you already have for reference on the job, UL 325 signs, making sure that they're on the fence or the gate or where somebody can see them. You could turn all of that into a safety campaign on how to make gates safer by showing all these UL 325 signs that you put out and so on. So when you're
Yeah.
talking about brand building, low cost or no cost, that would be a good tool for it. Would you agree, Robert?
Oh yeah, that'd be a good tool. Yeah, because when I did these government jobs back in the day, they made
Yeah.
us take pictures when we got done. If we didn't take a picture of it, they won't send you no check. So you get in the habit of doing it. Then they can look at the picture and say, "Well, you didn't do this right." They can call you out on it. And so yeah, pictures are important.
Yeah, I like doing time lapse on my stuff because customers say, "Oh, you didn't do that, or you didn't do this, or whatever," and it's been really hard working with these new people that I'm not familiar with here in Nevada, where that trust hasn't been built. So recording everything has made me sleep better at night, knowing that if they're gonna question my shit, then I'm gonna have pictures to back it up. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about low cost or no cost. Robert, have you ever bought like the pins and that with your company logo on it,
Oh yeah,
or have you? Or what about notepads? Have you ever bought that?
yeah. We've had receipt books where we had 3 pages, like a white copy, a pink copy, and yellow copy. And we have ink pens. We have business cards. We have hats. We have shirts. Um,
What's
and
your what's your return on investment been
there's no
on that?
return on that. That's just there's no per se return on that. It's just a part of the business of having that stuff to give out to people to have your name out there. Now the return on it, I say there's no return because you're not getting cash for it right then and there. The return is that person's going to wear your hat and somebody's going to say, I need to get the phone number off of that hat or that shirt. Did he do work for you or they do work for you? And they say, yeah, yeah, blah, blah. Bring get a conversation, push your name out there. People talk about you. And then when you give stuff away, this is just a nice gesture to give somebody a pen, to give somebody a hat.
Okay. So in that regard, I am of the opinion that the pins and the pads and all that stuff, they may be leave behinds, they may be conversation starters, but you'll have promotional companies that will come in and tell you that that is all part of building your brand. And in my opinion, it's not brand building, and it could be something that you have a false sense of security of, picture this scenario, Robert. You go into, let's say you have commercial customers, they got an office building and all that stuff, and you go in and you go to the secretary, you drop off 5 notepads and 15 pens and say, hey, if you guys need anything, let me know. And then all of a sudden you consider that brand building. And I'm of the opinion that it's not. It doesn't do you any good to do that, you know? So don't think that those promotional tools as brand building, even though they may be in the same process that I'm talking about called low cost or no cost. So use your existing assets. Your logo is not your brand. You're not Apple. We just talked about that. If you took the picture of an Apple and showed it around, or a Nike swoosh and showed it around, you might have 70% of the people go, oh, that's Apple, that's Nike, but you're not there yet. And it is going to take a long time or a lot of money for you to be there. But regional success, you might be able to do that. But keep in mind, that is not, you have not done any marketing if you just go, okay, here's a logo. I put a fence behind my company name. Your company name ain't crap. Nobody cares about your company name. I'm sorry if you think that so and so fence company and so, Minnesota or whatever, you think that just by putting your company name on there, that one, anybody's going to have any brand recognition with that, or you think that that is something that people will associate with good quality. You are going to have to spend a lot of money in order for that to happen. But I'm going to tell you right now, your customers could care less about your name. And in regard to the marketing part of it, when your customer sees that, they could care less. If you're coming out with a new marketing campaign, just put what it is on the top. You can put your name and your address and your phone number at the very, very bottom in small print, but your customers are bored just thinking that they see that name of your company is important. It's not. And in my opinion, it doesn't go towards building your brand at low cost or no cost. But
Well, it puts your name out there with the little, I call it the starter kit. That's the starter kit.
okay,
So, and it is a technique to drop off some stuff, but that doesn't mean they're going to call you. That doesn't mean you're going to get the job. Uh, so, you know, whenever you drop a notepad off or some pens off to somebody, that don't mean nothing. Even if dropping your card off to somebody doesn't mean they're going to call you back. But the main thing is making an impact. That's brand building, is making an impact on everywhere you go. You know, be larger than life. Be the biggest possible person that you can be and represent your company and your brand. So,
yeah, I
but
think that's part of the philosophy of some of these guys wrapping their truck and all that stuff,
that works.
being that bigger than life. I don't know how well it does in commercial, but at the end of the day, none of that matters whether
And
I believe it or not.
commercial is different than residential. It's totally brand building is basically built off of the end user and it, the person at home looking at stuff on the internet, watching a TV commercial. Now the commercial and industrial, that's a different world itself. That's totally different line of thinking of business.
Well, I agree, but you could still have brand building in that. For instance,
Yeah,
if you were to see a John Deere or a Caterpillar tractor out there, you might
that's
have a.
still not industrial to me.
Oh, gotcha.
It's industrial. What they're doing is industrial, but they're still going getting people off to the street, off the farm to come buy their product. It's a customer base. It's not like a industrial base where you're working at this big old plant and
Gotcha.
they got your name by word through mouth. They didn't go and look called up who, but there's a whole different process for that.
That's fair enough. And at the end of the day, all of this doesn't happen unless you test and measure it. So whether it's worth it for you or not. But I think when you're talking about dropping these things off to start becoming the bigger, larger than life guy, that could be important, but that's all of a bunch of small components fitting together
Yeah.
just right at the time.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that when people say just get your name out there, get your name out there, it's not build it and they will come.
Yeah. Oh,
When somebody tells me just get your name out there, it's probably from a friend or a family member that just doesn't understand anything about business in general, because it's not build it and they will come. It's not get your name out there. Your customers are sitting at home bored. They don't. It's not. They're not looking like, oh, Mike Brooks Fence Company. Oh, I know Mike Brooks. I'll call him. No, it's, hey, I can come out to your property today and I can show you 5 things on your property right now that are less than safe. That's what concerns them. That's what's going to get
yeah.
them talking around the kitchen table.
Let's talk about this for a second. You know, I've been marketing on Facebook myself on my own Evers Electric Gates and Fencing Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a customer call me and said, man, I need a price on a fence, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I punched your name in Facebook, fence company on near the property it has on Facebook, and it popped up my Evers Electric Gates and Fencing.
Right.
Well, and I asked him, he said, that's how he got it. And I was like, yes, that's the answer I wanted to hear, because I've been busting my butt, putting Facebook pictures, doing videos, reels on Facebook to try to be number one on that platform. And it's working, because my phone's ringing and it don't cost me a dime. Now you can go to the bottom of them, you can boost it, and you can pay little money for that. There ain't no need for that, to do that. You just do it yourself and just push it out there a little at a time. And then you just keep doing it once or twice a week. And like the one you just pulled up now, man, we're all the time talking about the low end product. What was that definition? Low end low cost. So here's my low cost advertising right here: Evers Electric Gates and Fencing, LA 400, with the KP5 keypad, wireless keypad. And so far I have sold probably about 10 of those units right there.
But I want to make sure that we're differentiating this as marketing and advertising versus brand building. So right now, if I
That's
put
the same thing nearby.
well,
Marketing and advertising is advertising your brand.
well, okay. Now here's where we'll put it to the test. If I were to take off Evers Electric Gates and Fencing, is there anything about this particular advertisement that would distinguish it as Evers Electric Gates and Fencing? If I took Evers off, if I took the name off of it, is there anything that would distinguish this as Evers?
But they wouldn't know who it was if I didn't have Evers on it.
Exactly. But if I had a picture of a Nike swoosh, would you know that's Nike?
That's true, but I'm
And
not nowhere near that.
So yeah, no, that's the whole point. That's where this small, that's exactly right. That's the whole point of this. You're not there yet. Brand building can happen with a lot of money. It can happen.
Now you gave me, I got to do some kind of symbol now.
Well, no, it very well could be. You could do a symbol, right? So
Yeah.
I came up with the symbol of my business that was just red, white, and blue, because that was the color scheme that we had. But I also wanted it to promote American and all of that good stuff that goes on with that. And it was a shape.
You got to be careful with red, white, and blue.
Okay, well, we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
However, I want people to recognize the difference between branding and advertising and marketing. Branding can be part of your advertising and marketing, or be part of that ad, but it is not those two. It is a symbol, a logo, a slogan, a slogo that represents something to somebody without all of this other stuff. And it's a good advertising test. If I take away those things, the logo, slogo, your slogan, your imagery, if I take away all that, can people differentiate that product from Evers Gates or Brooks's Gates?
Well,
And that,
I guarantee you they would know me because that's a wood post right there. Because I believe I'm the only one that puts the gates on the wood post.
well, you can't, but when you're teaching somebody else, you can't say that they'll guarantee that they'll know you. But yeah, who's putting wood posts? Are you driving those in the ground? Are you
No,
digging them out?
my customer set that post.
Oh, that was the one right before the fence crews then.
Yeah,
Was
he
that
set the post, and then I went out there and hanged the gate and hanged the motor.
that had to be the quit. That's a 1 day job, right? That's a 6 hour job right there, isn't it?
Oh, we got it done pretty quick. It was
Yeah.
in
Yeah, when you can bolt stuff on without welding it, man, it makes it pretty quick. Did this have a mag lock on it too?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I want to make sure that everybody's clear between those three things what advertising, marketing, and branding is. Branding is something inside of all of that stuff. And advertising is just this. This is advertising.
It's
But
advertising, right?
but it is not marketing. Marketing is the process of getting somebody to recognize, see that piece of advertisement and get them to make a decision. This is advertising. If you have a call to action on there or something along those lines, that is
But
a
I
call to action.
I guarantee you this right here in my local area, if they see that operator and my name on it, they know who done it.
That's right.
They'll
But
say ever.
your name has to be on there in order for them to determine that that's actually you. And that's where differentiation comes into it. Maybe if the box was blue, or maybe if the gate was green or something along those lines, that might distinguish you and cause some differentiation. But regardless of what that is, I just am trying to get people to understand the branding part of it. And this is to invoke an emotion based off your logo, your slogan, slogan, a piece of material, and so on. That's all that it is. I'm not trying to say that this is right or wrong. At the end of the day, anything that makes that phone ring and closes the sale is right.
I just posted this one, and I'll see who's my next caller and who's my next customer and see what happens. Was it this picture here? I might see what happens.
And that's it. And that's where tracking and measuring comes in. That's why if you have a phone number that's different than your main phone number on this, or a link that's different than this, and the way that you can instigate your customer by doing that is say, get 5% off with this ad, and it has a tracking link on there, and you could click it. And that's one way to do with social media.
We don't do discounts.
Well, move to the first of the line. Move to the first of the line. I'll come over today.
No discount, double check. No discounts.
Well, discounts can be effective in your business, but that's absolutely right. If you want to increase your margin, you increase your price, and that means don't give discounts. So anyways, to wrap this branding part of it, and that's the whole thing. I'm trying to narrow down any confusion, and we've already crossed the lines of what branding actually is. It's not advertising, it's not marketing, it's part of advertising, but it is not advertising. Advertising is part of marketing, but it's not marketing. So really, for small businesses, just remember that Nike can afford to put a swoosh on the side of the building with no call to action, no way to actually get in contact with it, no actual device that you're going to go buy or anything like that. They can afford to do that because they've laid the groundwork over years to get that symbol to mean quality shoes, running shoes, and quality apparel. They've already done that. You haven't done that. You don't have the ability, but more importantly, as a small business, you don't have the money to do that. So
you don't have to do that. That's overkill. I mean, that's not going to work in small business there where
That's
there's
right.
hundreds of gate businesses and hundreds of fence businesses. It's not going to work. Only one or two are going to shine out. Like I said, Mr. Fence, he's the one that's shining out right now because he has the momentum
Yep.
and been doing it. So, what other symbol of a fence company is going to be out there? None, because the only one is going to be the Mr. Fence with the clipboard or whatever in his hand. Because when I first saw that symbol, you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Mr. Clean. That's what it reminded me of. The Mr. Fence Man symbol.
I'm not wearing this by accident. I'm wearing this because this is what you would expect a mechanic to have on when you come to the house.
Well, that's not branding. That's an everyday thing. You need to wear something bright and colorful.
It's branding to me because there's not going to be one other gate company. There's not going to be one other gate company that rolls up there like this. So when you see navy blue uniform, you're expecting a mechanic, you're expecting work to get done, and you're expecting to see quality. And that's the thing that I'm trying to do with this uniform, is have it be part of my brand. Now, I'll prove to you that it is. I'll prove to you that this is part of my brand.
How many people or businesses wear that same uniform all the way from construction, plumbing? Same guys wear the same things. They make them things all the time.
It's about to get heated in this motherfucker. All right.
Look at what I got.
Hold on. Now tell me this. All right. Name one other gate company that you've seen wear this. Right?
I've heard that. Look at my tank.
All right. So in case y'all are just joining, this is Brooks and Evers Fashion Show.
Yeah, we're doing a fashion show.
We're doing a fashion show. What workmen wear out in the field? All right. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. When you see me and two of my guys on one of my videos that are watching this is, guys, I want you to understand, this is where it comes down to low cost. I have to buy jeans. I have to buy a shirt to wear. So it is no additional cost. As a matter of fact, this uniform is cheaper than any jeans or any t-shirt that you're actually going to buy. Okay.
Would you buy it secondhand out of yard sale?
I buy it right here, motherfucker. No, I go down to Dickies and buy their uniforms. And the reason why I say it's less cost than jeans and shirts, because this lasts right here 10 times longer than any pair of jeans or any pair of work shirts. Yeah. I will wear this exact same uniform, right? I could wear it day after day and get 6 months out of it, sometimes even a year out of it. And because I've been fat and skinny, sometimes I've had to do that with a pair of pants. So I've had to wear a pair of pants, go home and wash them every night, and so on. James is out there. Got another Texas boy. Now we're talking. Now go sell some gates, brother. Yeah, hey, James. We were just talking about branding, which I know you and I have talked about before. We talked about marketing and advertising. James, last I checked, he was out in Fort Worth. But yeah, so this is all part of my brand. This does not necessarily make anybody go, oh, I remember Navy Blue, I'm gonna call him up. But what
Navy Blue.
Man, you was getting on my nerves tonight. Get Amber on there, man. She'll finish this podcast out, man.
Yeah, she'll cut you out.
Yeah, no, this Navy, but that's all I'm trying to say is that this is this is part of my brand, so much so that I've had people more than once ask, do they make you wear that uniform? So they recognize the uniform as me installing gate operators. But again, all of that comes down to is one piece of the puzzle. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah. That is part of my brand. So make it low cost or no cost, and do it to differentiate yourself. And in the market that I was in Dallas Fort Worth, although here in Nevada and the Las Vegas metropolitan area is a little bit different because I actually have seen people step up their game. I guarantee you, and I proved this at Mr. Fence training the other day when I was training you guys on the LA 500s. Guess what the common uniform was? The common uniform was t-shirts, jeans, tennis shoes. So when I roll up to you, I'm differentiating myself by having this uniform on. So when you guys are out there doing your branding, you need to be different. That could be different colors, different logos, different slogos, which is your slogan and logo together. Different, all of that stuff. You need to make sure you're differentiating yourself because again, what are we doing? We're not selling a product. We're actually selling a brand. And you need to have all of that stuff built into your system so you can actually make yourself different than the next guy. And if you think about it like this, we're all selling the same stuff. The product is the brand. That is the product that you're actually selling. The product is the brand and not Western Red Cedar #1 and not LiftMaster LA400. The product is the brand. You represent all of that stuff with the color, the logo, your truck wrapping, all that stuff. So a couple of notes that I put on here is print is not dead. These are marketing tips and use AI for print because I want to keep it low cost. I would not use AI for digital because in my opinion, they're not going to be ranking that as high as what you do organically. Don't pay another company to start your brand building. And this actually, I'm going to put it in here for small business. You need to put that money into marketing, not into your brand. Although the brand is part of the marketing, that's one place you don't put it in. Right now, you need to be buying eyeballs for your company, and you don't do that by putting $2,000 into a logo or $2 into a logo. People who pay for logos, in my opinion, are not smart for small business, is what you were talking about. Use the social media platforms, that built-in tools, and check out Canva if you haven't. So all of this stuff that's on this page, you guys can download. It's in the comments of the YouTube and Facebook links. So what else we got, Robert? What's your opinion about that now that we've talked about brand building? What's your opinion about what I had to say? Is this uniform part of my brand, or is it just something I gotta wear?
It ain't a part of your brand.
All right, then we shall disagree to disagree.
It's just you.
It's just me.
That's just like saying my picture, take Evers off of it.
Okay.
You take that, you say, where's your name tag? Who are you?
That. I haven't
You're just
lost
another guy.
Well, I could probably you bring up a good point that it's all part of it, right?
Yeah, it's all part of it. Everything you do is part of it. Everything you do in business as a small business is so important. Everything.
That 6-point Chevy. See, even then, he knows my Chevy is my brand. But no, I'm just kidding, James. But no, I'll put it. This again. Let's go back to what the test is, guys. The test is relatively simple. If you take away all the text and you take away all the logos, can people differentiate that piece of marketing against anything else and recognize that it's you? And you could cut my head off of a still picture and put me up against 15 other fence companies and ask which one is Brooks. And my opinion would be that the majority of people will be able to recognize that this is me. But that's my opinion.
The people that know you.
That's a good point. Who's our customer on the Two Smooth Operators podcast?
By the way, we need sponsors.
Kind of looks like Brooks didn't job that required FR, and he's wearing the jumpsuit that was given to him. FR, what's FR?
Hey, buddy, that's good, man.
What's FR? Fire requirements? Freedom Riders? Something like that? Tell us, Logan. So anyways, yeah, so that's some basic branding tips from Robert
Yeah.
and I, and our opinions on it. And I would probably say quite a bit of the stuff that we just talked about was just a matter of opinion about the definition of this, that, or the other. The
Yeah.
important part that I want to get across to small business owners is don't pay for any of this shit. You don't need to. Oh, flame retardant. I see. I was close. Oh, you can't see it. I didn't post it up there. He said FR is flame retardant. So again, that document. If you guys want to look at that document that I just put up, Robert and I were talking about, more me talking than him. You guys can download that. And if you want more information about how to market your small business, Finch University is going to be having a class April 21st through the 22nd. And Robert and I deleted our phone number off of there. And Robert and I's direct contact information is right here. So that's what I would probably say is you and I agree on some stuff. But it's the definitions of what this actually is
I
not
agree with you on the definitions of it, but
Okay.
then whenever you go from Nike to Everest, it's no.
Yeah, there's no
Totally
competition
different.
because at the end of the day, Nike is doing this to meet quarterly objections for shareholders. Me and you are trying to just pay for the checks that we wrote yesterday. So
Yeah.
this is all the stuff that we just talked about is for small business, which I don't know whether you would agree with this or not, but that's why I'm saying don't pay somebody to build these tools for you. That you don't need to go hire another company to help build your logo and
Yeah.
and build your slogan and build you a little character that represents you. Pay $10 for your cousin to do it. Call it a day.
It's all about getting out there and let people know what you're doing. And I can't stand it when I read something on the fence industry or the pro fence tools, Facebook platforms that I'm not getting no work. Well, get your butt out there and advertise your company. Get your butt out there. Go to Lowe's and you see somebody looking at a roll of fence, give them your card. I've done it.
Damn, that's
I went
gangster.
to Lowe's. Yeah, I did it on purpose because I don't like Lowe's. I don't like Home Depot, even though I shop there, but I don't like it because they sell fence material. So I go there and I say, hey, man, here's my card. And the dude said, I'm looking for somebody to build me a gate. And I said, well, you're not going to get a gate from here for your
Not yet.
and it was for a church, and it was a swing arm, what I call a swing arm gate.
Yeah.
It's like a little farm triangle gate.
Mhm.
So I ended up building that for them, and I got a few more customers that way too. So there's no excuse for not getting customers. You just got to go out there and do it. You got to
Yeah,
get involved with charity events. You got to go out there and make yourself public.
So Logan was saying that they've got hoodies and tees with our company name and website on it. That is the perfect example, Logan, of no cost branding. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Low cost or no cost. Yeah, if you buy North Face jackets for your team, that's a little bit more expensive than what you need. But to buy jackets and t-shirts for your team, they need t-shirts and jackets anyway. So it is low cost, no cost branding, and I think that that's one of the best ways to do it. Don't know if I necessarily agree with Logan saying, right, best advertisement is doing a good job. Best advertisement is doing a good job and then pointing it out to other people, which is probably what he means. So do a good job, and then I know in rural areas it might not be as easy. Maybe it actually is easier because you don't have the laws. Like right now, can you think of any city that you work in that has a solicitation law where you can't drop off a flyer to somebody else in the area without breaking the law?
Yeah, there's some neighborhoods that won't let you do that.
Gotcha. So out in rural areas, I would imagine that it's probably a little bit more. See, they may say no soliciting up there, but whether there's actually a soliciting law in that city, maybe two different things. Like a lot of cities, I know some cities where there's no soliciting whatsoever. You can't go over to the neighbor's house and be like, "Hey, here's a flyer." And then
That going on Kirby vacuum cleaners for coming off on your door.
Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the letter of the law. God damn, man, you were pissed off as hell about this right here. So, anyways, I'm just saying that that is a great way. He's right. Best advertising is doing a good job, right? So,
Yeah.
take a picture of that. Go back to the office. Put it on a black and white or color piece of copy. You don't need to go spend $500 on flyers, and go to the 10 houses around that and simply put, you don't need your freaking logo and all that stuff real big. Just put, "We did your neighbor's gate. Would you like a free estimate?" That's it. And take a picture of it and call it a day and see how many calls that you get, and do that at the same house. That is the best advertising that could be, is do a good job every day. Mom and dad drives by that gate. Like, and you know what mom's saying. Mom's going, "Man, I wish we could have that for our house. That's nice." So yeah. Do you agree with that? Best advertising is doing a good job?
Of course, that's part of it.
We don't advertise or even put signs on fences anymore. Is that because your advertising is so good, Logan? How's that possible?
I don't put signs on my fences at all.
You don't? And why is that?
I get too many damn calls. Call. I don't. That's just I'll put them in certain areas, but if I got so many of them out there, I don't even worry about no more. But what happened was I would get so many calls. I don't know. There ain't no excuse for not doing it, but
Okay.
it's
So
just
you're
up in the air
basically
right
saying
now.
that you're lazy is what it is, and you would do it if you had the signs.
I got the signs. I don't do them there. I'm beyond that point in life. You know?
You're pissing me off because you're saying that you don't do it even though you know it works, that you gets the phone to ring.
Yeah,
That's a bunch of bull crap.
yeah, but nobody pulls on the side of the road. Now, Brandon, when they see my sign, they know it's Evers because it's yellow and green.
Okay.
Sign.
So
So
your
when
colors help your brand.
yeah, so
Okay.
I will say that. But I don't know. I'm gonna start putting signs on it because I got out of residential. I didn't do as much residential, and that's kind of one reason why I did it. And then I was traveling a lot, and I
Uh-huh.
don't want to put a sign on when I'm traveling 100 miles somewhere and they call it.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. So you're strategic about where you're putting signs. That's a little bit different than I'm not putting signs on anymore. If anybody out there thinks Robert is saying the two different things, y'all put it in the comments right now.
I'm
'Cause I'd
saying
love to.
100 different things because that's the way business is, but it ain't no other way around it. There's
There you
more than
go.
one way to do things, and you're gonna be going through that. If you want to be successful, you want to go out there and roll in the dough. You're gonna change every now and then.
That's for sure.
You can't do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Think get the same results all the time. Nothing. You gotta do something. Go
Okay.
out and do something.
Well,
Do something different. Go to the store and talk to the cashier. Say,
but wouldn't you agree if you go to the store, talk to the cashier, or you go to Lowe's and you give out business cards in the fence section and that works, you should do it more like you're doing it. Correct? As opposed to
you should
changing
do
it
it
and changing
everywhere you going.
it. Okay.
You
All
going
right.
to the PTA meeting. Hey, my name's so and so. My son so and so, and here, Edwards Electric Gates and Fencing. You need a fence? Give me a call. Get go. You should do that everywhere you go.
Like you're doing it. Correct? I'm yelling at you on two different screens, man.
I know.
No, I think at the end of the day, what works for small businesses is not what works for big businesses. If you want to go out there and you want to put Nike swooshes all over the sides of buildings without a call to action, without what you do, without any of that stuff, feel free. But for a small business, it doesn't work. The Nike swoosh, the Coca-Cola label, all of those things have built into place over decades that this is what we represent. If you see Coca-Cola, you know it's Coke and it tastes great. I think that's Coke's logo. If you see
Yeah.
those golden arches, you know it's McDonald's and you know it's fast, inexpensive food, right? Same thing with Apple. You know it's high quality computers
All
and
right,
so
so you
on.
got all that. How do I get my symbol like that? What do I got to do that? What does it take to do that?
Well, in my opinion, it's relatively simple. It's test and measure. So you're going to have to do multiple things, different ways, and track what that actually does and measure that against the other results that you got. So that's what you have to do. So now it could be, for instance, if you are plan on just being in North Carolina, maybe you shape your signs like they are the state of North Carolina, and you do square signs and you see which ones perform better. And then you change colors and you see which ones perform better, and so on and so on, in order to build that brand. But to go out to a company for a small business that's only going to do $10,000 next week or $5,000 next week, or may not do anything next week because they're still on the job that was 2 weeks ago, to go out and pay a company $10,000 to do a logo, come up with a little guy with the tools in his hands so you could post that all over, that's just a waste of money. So in my opinion, that's one of the things that you can do. But you need to be able to track it, you need to be able to A/B it, and you need to be able to measure it against other efforts that you've done.
Well,
Now, keep in mind, we're just talking about branding. We're just talking about branding for small businesses. We're not talking about marketing. We're not talking about advertising, because what you're doing, this right here, this is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I do. I'm not even in Dallas Fort Worth right now, and I'm still getting 2 phone calls a week off of a YouTube channel that I haven't updated in 3 years. Right? Calling,
Yeah.
hey, do you service gates? So that is different. They're not calling that because they went, I need a new gate, or I got to get my gate fixed. What do I remember the blue and red
all
logo.
right, and look at this too. And if you took LiftMaster off of the logo on the operator, you wouldn't know what operator it was.
That's correct. That's exactly right. But you and your competitor are selling the same item. So the differentiating product is your brand. And that brand could be, we get there first, we offer 7-year warranty or whatever. But you and so fence company are selling the exact same product. You're buying it from the exact same place and you're installing it the exact same way. And in theory, at the same quality, to where it actually will last 2-3 years, whatever the warranty is on those LA400s. 2 years, I think it is, right?
I don't even know.
So the brand is what you're selling to differentiate yourself from your competitor, and that could be the slogan, it could be the logo, it could be your unique selling proposition that we warranty for 3 years instead of 2, and all of that stuff builds towards the brand. But it is not to discredit what you've done here, because this
Yeah.
gets the phone to ring. But if you take Evers, this is the question: if you take Evers off of there, and you just have electric gates and fencing, do people know that that's your product? And they don't. And that's where branding comes in. So,
Well,
if you had
I gotta do something about that.
well, maybe it is. Maybe on maybe on these you need to start putting your signs, but we put a big E on there, right? And that E stands for, it's Evers tested, it's got Evers warranty, and it's Evers quality, right? And that's all part of that brand. And color's a part of it, shape of the sign's part of it, and all of that goes towards it. But I, in my opinion, don't think you should spend $10,000 to do all that shit.
Yeah.
The gate pictured in the post bracket held on with a couple of big lag screws. So Logan's asking, is this held on with lag screws or did you
Yeah,
do bolt
lag
through?
screw, lag
Lag
screw,
screw? How long?
6 inches.
Gotcha. And if that post was 6 inches big, which it is not, would you
Eight by
actually
eight.
just would you bolt it all the way through? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I do that.
Okay. So is
But
it
see,
more common?
it's one of them situations where I didn't set the post.
Gotcha.
I didn't know what size the post was. I ain't had time to go blah blah blah. I just say this is what I'm doing. This is it. And if you want me to do something else, I gotta run to the hardware store, get some more stuff, and charge you more money.
Yeah. And that's what that when you agree, that's the one of the biggest pains in the ass about the customer providing their own product. I mean, even though
Yeah,
this is a hinge post, but if they go and buy a gate operator online, I tell the customer it's $200 from an hour from the second I get out there to the second I leave, or second I get there to the second I leave. If you've got to go down, excuse me, if you've got to go down to the hardware store and now buy bolts or buy a push to open bracket or something like that, that's you paying for that. I'm not paying for that.
yeah. And look, and what's his name you were talking to? Logan.
Logan. He
That's
won.
just I'm an experienced skate operator technician, and that's a low end thing. So if it fails, if it lasts for 2 years or a year, I'm happy. Because
Yeah,
if
and
it fails, it's going to be a service call, and then I'll drill a hole, put a bolt in.
that's what we talked about before, right? Because those LA 400s with that 300-pound mag lock on there, it's for a particular price of customer, right?
Yeah.
Did you do solar on that?
No, it's electrical.
Electric? They pulled the electric out there for you?
They ran a drop cord out there, and I just
Oh, and it's
they're going to get electricity out there. They just don't have it now.
done that a million different times.
You know?
Well, I think for you guys that are just now joining, what my point was, and Robert offers some counterpoints, was don't pay for branding. And then the definition of it is who cares what it is, whether you think it's color or your logo or your slogan or your slogo or a symbol or a little character that you get somebody to do. Brand building should be low cost or no cost for guys like me and Robert that running 1 to 5 trucks or something like that. You do not need to be paying somebody $10,000 to come in there and build you a logo and all that shit. Pay you?
Yeah, I'll help you out with $10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I could draw up something real quick for 10 grand. But no, put that 10 grand into your marketing and advertising campaign, but don't put it into the branding section of it in there. That's my opinion. Robert, counterpoint?
Yeah, well, you got to be smart about what you're doing. I can't. This is what I'm going to tell you. You can buy a program for this. You can pay somebody for this. But here's the most important thing to pay for first: is your overhead for business, your insurance, workers' comp, liability, and then what little advertising you can do as far as like you can get yourself a website or whatever going, or a Facebook page. To get the free stuff, and then you can get a website made for $100 every 6 months. An AI one. That's what a lot of guys are doing. And you can get it done by AI, and it'll just do everything for you. But it's not organic, and there is a difference in that, big difference. But you can do stuff to get started. And go. I would rather you spend money in a class like the Fence University, the Fence Academy, get you a coach, then spend money in advertising, because they'll start telling you how to do all that kind of stuff. You got to be careful with that, because you got to be careful you don't get sold a bill of goods and on that too. So you got to be smart about what you do, but don't set yourself up where you got $5,000 worth of bill, and you're not bringing in but $5,000 a month. I mean, don't set yourself up for that.
Yeah, I think the beginning of part of that I agree with, and the middle part I agree with, and the end of it I agree with. There's just one little thing in there about you gotta be smart with your budget. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what social media has done for all of us is leveled the playing field. All right, you have your own TV network channel built the hell in right here. That's it. There is no difference between the quality capability of ABC and you right now. The only difference is they are paying for eyeballs. They are paying for people to look at their advertisement, and that's it. So get all those basic stuffs out of the way. Like we said, we're talking about small businesses. This is not Nike. This is not Apple. This is not a fence company that's running 50 trucks, where they've got to the point to where now they're looking for some place to put their money. We are talking about small business, low cost, no cost brand building, and the difference between brands and marketing and advertising and how all of those fit together. So, yeah, get that basic stuff out of the way, and don't focus on the brand, not at all. Focus on your marketing campaign and your advertising assets, in my opinion. There we go. Logan said, I did an LA 500 doing an 18-foot. Well, there's one of your problems. 18-foot, I'm assume 7-inch barn farm gate and screwed 3x3 angle to the post and welded the operator bracket to that. Okay, there you go. I mean, that'll work. But you talking about a long ass gate that's probably going 2-3 feet per second. And that thing starts to slow down. It's got a lot of momentum behind that LA. He says LA 500. My experience with the 500 is I'd rather have a 400 than a 500, but that's just mine.
I got a 500 in my shop right now on a 400.
Oh yeah, you got a 500 going in on a property?
Yep. Got a 500 going in, got a 400 going in, and I got automatic column mounts going in.
So for everybody listening, since I don't do the 400 or 500 anymore, for everybody listening, what made you determine one property needed LA 500, one property needed LA 400?
Well, I didn't sell the 500. My dad sold that one, so
Oh, okay.
I would have sold the 400 on that too, but he chose to go with 500. So.
Well, that just killed a good point that we were trying to bring to everybody. But next time, you ask your dad why he did the 500 as opposed to 400.
Well, he thinks like you do. I want to go ahead and put the big motor there.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I do. Residential gates, 1,000 pounds. I'm putting a 2,000 pound rated gate operator on there. That's all there is to it.
He could tell what the customer could afford. You know what I'm saying? The customer, he kind of knew that the customer wants the quality gate. And I told him I didn't want to switch. I wanted to stay with LiftMaster. We could do the 500 because I just want to stay with LiftMaster because out the box, they got everything for it, and I like the way it works.
Yeah. Does the LA 400 come with the push to open bracket already with it?
No.
Okay, so neither of them do. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like the Patriot is I don't ever have. There's nothing that I need to buy extra to get it to do what I need it to do. They do have some extra accessories and things of that nature. I'm just double checking the warranty on the 500. Okay, yeah, 500's 2 years as well too. So I was going to say you would be upgrading in warranty as well too, but they don't give you an upgraded warranty. So yeah, their website's not the easiest to use, but let's see, it's rated for 1,600 pounds. So I would imagine, what do you think that's on a 8-foot gate? It says Let me see
I,
if I got a
to
brochure.
me, it's different measurements. It'll be a little bit bigger than that.
Let's see if they got a brochure, product data sheet. Yeah, the 500 is rated to 300 cycles a day. I didn't know that that was it. So at 600 pounds, it's 18 feet. And at 1,600 pounds, it's 8 feet.
Hmm.
So that sounds about right. And they don't even have LA 400 on here, do they? Oh, 400, yeah. What's the difference between a 400 and a 412? If anybody knows that, can they put that on there?
I
Low,
think one's cheaper than the other.
what's that?
One's cheaper than the other, I believe. It looks like the one, I believe the 12 is more residential side. I don't know for a fact. I need to look
What?
into that.
It can't just be price, can it? Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe it can
Oh
just be
yeah, there's
price.
price. There's people will buy the cheapest thing, put it in.
So the 412 is cheaper.
I'm not for sure 100% on that. Look it
Uh,
up on
I'm looking it up right now, man.
look it
So
look.
Logan says why the 400 why is 400 better than the 500? I think that just might be an opinion on this side of the screen. I just had so many problems with the 500 that we stopped offering it. The way that the bracket is built for the back and the front doesn't have enough support, so you have to end up making a custom bracket for that. The back will not do push to open, so you have to make a custom bracket for that. And all of those add. Wow, I didn't know this. That at okay, at 16 feet, the LA 400 is 550 pounds, and this is very interesting. 18 feet, the LA. Let me say that again. At 18 feet, the LA 500 is 600 pounds. LA 500 at 16 feet, so let's compare apples to apples. The LA 500 at 16 feet is 800 pounds. The LA 400 at 16 feet is 550 pounds. So there's a 250 pound difference. At 12 feet, it's LA 400 is 750 pounds. And at 12 feet, the LA 500 is 1,200 pounds, which is a substantial difference of about 500 pounds, 450 pounds. So I guess what that is, it has to do with design.
You're not Ric Flair. You're not the world heavyweight champion. So you got a personal opinion, voice it that way. Tommy Young, I don't personally like the man, but you said yourself 5 times referee of the year. Right. And he calls them every season. You understand?
What the hell is that?
That's right. In you.
Brandon,
You
baby.
are the second chick today? How are you representing the referees of the world? Stick to what you know how to do best. That's talking to that and sign checks. Leave the rest on me.
What the hell is that?
Are you out there? Dusty Rhodes? It's only just begun. You see, in the eyes of the people around the world, some of the glitter, some of the sparkling stuff might have rubbed off Ric Flair. But I got news for you. See, I'm still wearing cashmere. I'm still looking around and alligators. I'm still looking at diamonds on it. I'm still right on the sea. And I am still driving the women in this world completely under because I am still
What am I
the
listening to?
heavyweight
What the hell, man?
myself here.
Man, whatever that was, I like it, man. James
Your boy.
James said 412 is solar. I
Okay.
thought 412 is a solar kit out of the box, is what he said. Good thing Liftmaster has a soft stop. He's probably talking about the 18-foot gates. And then he also said same thing with the Titan. Man, I would say that you're crazy, and if you like wrestling, but apparently you do.
And I said this earlier in the week. It's a great honor for Ric Flair to say that he's in the same arena, in the same building, on the same playing field, especially in the same ring with an athlete the caliber of Big John Eric. Now, for all you out there that don't realize this, one of the few enjoyments in my life that does not involve women is watching professional football. And John Ayers, as we stated earlier,
I apologize, everybody.
12 years in an
Don't apologize.
12 years.
This is one of the number one building things in the world.
Got the Super Bowl ring that says he was the very best.
And it ain't got nothing to do with Steve.
I'm
It's Steve.
Super Bowl ring too, and I wear it around my waist. It's called the World Heavyweight Championship belt. It's mine, and it says, Big John, whether you and your colleague Lex Luger like it or not, that I am the very best at what I do. And you know something? You guys that play football don't like guys like Ric Flair, because number one, everybody sees me without a helmet and knows what a stud I am. I make more money.
Hope we don't get a copyright strike.
And I live a life second to none. So, Big John, let's lay the ground rules down right now. You're a great football player, and I'm the best wrestler of all time. So, Big John, whatever David Crockett's family, the National Wrestling Alliance, whatever they're paying you, pal.
All right. I think we're losing viewers.
I can look at them
It's all over.
and say,
All right, let me show you one other thing. I'll show you some marketing and advertising.
time or as long as
Turn that off.
The bottom line is, pal, I'm not Lawrence Taylor, and I'm not Randy White. I'm not Randy White. I'm Ric Flair.
All right. Turn that off, boy.
Well, I got video of Toledo just
They
going
won't
to
let
final
the king
set.
on. They won't let the king on. They ain't gonna.
Oh, here we go.
What are you doing? Look, we got one of the two smooth nunchucks.
Oh, Lord.
FWA, FWA nunchucks.
I only came on to tell you two punks something. Brian T. Frederickson, the T standing for tummy rub, all right? Mr. Fence, you dealing with the Prince of Fence right here, okay? Come October 2nd at the Fence Show, DJ Evers and I are going to challenge YouTube podcast punks to a game of checkers. Game of checkers. Checkers, brother. The brawl for it all. And if you ain't there, no shot, boy. I'm telling you, man. You don't want to mess with it. If you want to come get the strap,
No.
Talking about me. Look at you, little Ric Flair Jr.
I'm telling you, I can do it, boy. That's
Hell
my
no, I just
brand.
want to do a tag team match. Bump checkers. We're going to do a tag team match.
I don't know that they'll allow that in the Coliseum.
Why not?
I don't know, man. Well, the checkers is
Hey,
on.
you might as well go in or don't go in at all, but
All right.
I'll
Well,
get on the top rope and I'll jump on, man.
either way, you're gonna have to honor what I've said we've got to do. So we have a championship checker match. Is going to be you and Brian or you and Sean, and there'll be me and Brian or me and Sean, and whoever wins those go against each other. So if we both win, if you and I both win, which is what's going to happen, where we win the whole Brawl for It All golden nunchuck belt. So
Cool.
we'll be designated the best podcast that there is. Now, if any of the other podcasters want to get a piece, they can get some too. I ain't dodging no comeuppance, man.
Yeah.
They can get it. All right, man. Well, I think we have brought an end to another great podcast. We're going to have outro.
Welcome to another good episode of Two Smooth Operators, the only podcast
Toast,
about
baby.
hate operator life for technicians.
I do the most.
Your hosts, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers. Stay tuned for another great episode.